Hey everybody, excuse the brightness. I'm in my car and it's a nice warm day. If you're wondering about my hair, yes, I did go back to brown. This must be another sign of hypermobility or neurodivergency. Very thin hair. Big eyes, thin hair, pale skin. Anyway, I went to, let me break it down. I live in the Bay Area. And I have something called, at least something I genetically have tested positive for a gene that connects to hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, which is something my mother had. And I had to go to UCSF in San Francisco in the Parnassus location, which is kind of funky because that's where she was before she passed away. But those are the doctors that deal with hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. So I took the day off of work yesterday and I went and did an echo. And this was the first time, the newest part of it was when they did the echo, they did the usual, looking around everything. And then they did an IV. I don't know if it was ink or what, but they just did it to get a better image. And I got the results. It's a lot of words. I was concerned about mitral valve prolapse because I was diagnosed with that once before, and then Kaiser took that away. And I think they're saying that I don't have it, which makes me kind of upset because I think that's one of the criteria for EDS. I'm going to have to check with this EDS person I saw because I only saw one specialist and I had to pay $900 out of pocket. I gave it to my insurance. I don't know if they're going to pay it. But having connective tissue issues, whether it's just on the hypermobility spectrum or whether I have EDS, it's affecting everything. And so to go back to the whole UCSF stuff, I did the echo. And it's so funny because when they do the IV, it feels funny and it makes me have a reaction and I get all hot and cold. It's a whole flight or fight proprioception reaction thing, I guess. It calmed down. I finished doing the thing. I had to take my time to turn around for her to do that. And then I went to do the EKG. I had to go to a different office. It's fun when you go from one building to another and then trying to figure out the parking situation. Anyways, so I did the EKG. EKG is very easy. They just put a couple things on you and they measure your rhythm or whatever. Done. And then I went to, before that I tried to ask them, I'm going to show you guys. Nothing crazy. I'm just wearing one of those monitor patches. I wore it last year from Kaiser and they put it up here and it was big and crazy. I put it lower myself. I was gonna ask one of them to help me put it on. They were like, we're really busy. So I just wham bam did it in the bathroom. I think it's working because it was showing yellow and then I went to hit the button and when you press the button it turns green. It's not the best put together. I know you're supposed to do all kinds of prep and stuff. I'm just tired. I'm circling near 50 and I'm tired. I'm also tired because I'm anemic. And I've always been anemic and I try to take iron, but I don't know if I have an absorption issue. And I've had previous tests where I've been told I'm nutrient deficient. So I'm just wondering how much of that is pretty much coinciding with the hypermobility, dysautonomia, ADHD, autism, whatever, issues with your body just not wanting to work. I don't know. I used to say, why does my body hate me? So I did blood work and the hemoglobin's low, the RBC or whatever it's called is low. I'm not going to remember all these words, but whatever it is for the anemia and the red blood cells and all that stuff is low. Now, I worry because my dad had, I never had diabetes, but my dad had diabetes and then he had kidney issues and he had to have his gallbladder removed and he had GI issues. And I'm wondering, he never knew if he was hypermobile. But I feel like there's something in certain people with our genetics, especially if we don't test our genetics, we might be predisposed to having issues with the way organs function. the way organs absorb and detox. And this is where my pet peeve is, because I'm trying to get through that. So I know that I tested with Clarity X a while ago, and I think it's the MTHFR gene that like I have issues with. So I think the anemia can tie to that, because I have to deal with folate and B12 and all that. But I took a blood test a while back that said I was really high in B12, like way over the limit. So it's very confusing. I feel like hypermobility and connective tissue issues and neurodivergency and all that has like a lot to do with why everything's having issues. But like, I don't know, I have to start over and kind of like try to look up possible practitioners that might take insurance, because let's face it, we probably know ahead of time that they probably don't. And I just can't be throwing down thousands of dollars when I already have $7,000 on my credit card. Okay? I'm going to keep fighting, because it's ridiculous for chronically ill people who also may be neurodiverse to have to deal with so much out-of-pocket pay. It's crazy. I did talk to my neurologist again. I want to get I showed him an x-ray of my back and my neck and stuff, and I'm just like, we didn't do an MRI of the neck. We did an MRI, but we didn't do one of the neck, and I know I have issues here with the cervical flexors and stuff, and I'm wondering if something is off and it's causing a whole issue with everything else. But then again, with connective tissue issues, maybe there's something slightly off everywhere, and then it affects the organs, and it affects the gut and everything else. And I don't understand why there's not doctors who are helping us with this, and we just have to go out of pocket. Okay. I was going to see a particular doctor. I forget the title. She's kind of like a gynecologist, but they help with pelvic floor stuff. They canceled on me months ago, and then I booked for end of October, and then it got moved to September 4th, and I ended up calling them and rescheduling again. So now I'm going to see them in November, because just too many appointments. And then also my work is having, I guess, happy hour on Thursday instead of Friday. I just needed a break. Trying to do 2 appointments a week or 3 appointments a week is just insane. But what are you going to do when you're advocating for yourself and everyone like you, when you think, if I don't do this, how are we going to get any answers? But then it's like, somehow you need to take the breaks to stop thinking about it and stop it being all about that, so you can have some peace and quiet. Vacation from everything. I don't know. I'm doing my best. What else is going on? I'm back at my job at my school. I'm working with a kindergarten class and a second grade class, mostly the kindergarten class, and they're really adorable, all of them. They were like, "Where did you go?" I'm like, "I had some appointments. Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." I enjoy where I work. I enjoy the kids. I just want to be here to help children through their social emotional needs. We all have them. We want to ignore them when we're adults. And they tie to our health needs. They tie to our health needs. They tie to our mental health, our physical health, our behavior. And with that, I also think life is meant to be enjoyed. I miss dance parties, I may have my chronic fatigue and stuff, but even if I have to dance in a chair, All right, well, we have like a disco night happening at the school, which sounds really fun, and I'm looking forward to that, because whether I was 5 or 45 or now almost 50, I love a good event. And having chronic illness makes it hard to enjoy this stuff, but I try my very best when I have a date for something to remember, to get all squared away, to have a nice outfit, to get all dolled up and have fun. Because every once in a while you need a perfect day, right? All right, you guys, take care of yourselves. And if you have anything to add in regards to the drama of figuring stuff out for anemia and hypermobility and all that stuff, let me know. I think for me, it's always the issue of insurance and figuring out who's going to take mine. I have Blue Cross, and it's much better than when I had Kaiser, but come on, guys, it's getting tough.